As 2025 draws to a close, I wanted to do just a quick video on 5 things that travel has taught me this year or reminded me of this year. And yeah, just I don't know, I'm just gonna riff on it. I'm gonna do the first 5 things that come to the top of mind. So I think this year, because it was not maybe the smoothest year I've ever had, it definitely was a year of the snake and shedding of skin and rebooting and resetting. The first thing that travel reminded me of and reinforced was patience. It's not just patience with travel, but patience with life. And there's so many times that you plan for something and you have to wait for it, or you're trying to plan something and you're waiting for things to fall into place. I spent so much of this year with not only related to travel, but just work and life and balancing everything that comes with life, having to be patient and wait for answers and for things to fall into place. It just everything. I don't even know where to start. I could do probably multiple videos on all the examples of the patience that I had to have. There were things like having to wait to book flights, waiting for answers from work, or gosh, I got furloughed, so waiting for answers from that, waiting for answers on layoffs. And so patience was definitely the number one thing I was reminded of. And it extended far beyond just the travel and the patience that you have, say, with like people in airports and transiting through airports and being on planes and trains and public transport and all that comes with that. So patience was number one. Probably the second thing that I was more reminded of than taught is just the kindness of people. The world is a whole lot better place than the media makes all of us believe, in the 30-second sound bites that we get on the news, or the quick articles that we get in our news feed, or maybe the stories we see on social media. I met so many kind and helpful people this year. It's been a common theme over all the years that I've traveled, and it extends everywhere from people calling from the hotel to make sure that I was still coming and I was okay, and going out of their way to figure out what was wrong and why I was having issues with public transport. It was the kindness of strangers. That same story, the strangers on the platform with the having issues with the train. It's a whole other story. Kindness of strangers from all other countries trying to help me and give me advice on maybe what the next path forward is once I was laid off. And all of this coming from people from multiple countries, different walks of life, different languages. And I think that's something that isn't talked about enough in today's society. And that goes for every outlet that's not just the news and social media. That's even in day-to-day life. I don't think we take enough time to pause and remember that we're all more similar than we are different at the end of the day. So kindness is from other people is definitely another one. And I think that rolls into another thing that travel has just reminded me of, is to have gratitude. Again, I don't think we spend enough time looking at the things in our life that we're grateful for. And that's everything, from the big moments to the small moments. I cannot believe that this year I crossed off 7 continents again for the second time. That was something that I never, I had hoped to do someday. I never anticipated it coming so quickly. I didn't anticipate it going so smoothly. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the people that helped make that happen in my life. That because everyone from the people at home to the people that I encountered along the way, that's the airline staff, the expedition team, the expedition ground staff. That's for Antarctica, the crew on the ship. And I call them out because of all the travels I did, that they were really probably the most integral. Antarctica is never a how do I say this? It's not a guarantee. They did everything they could to make it happen for us, and I cannot thank them enough. And in the last probably, from the home to the staff to just friends overseas that went out of their way to be there for me and help me and just make it the most memorable second time to all 7 continents I could have ever asked for. And I think gratitude is definitely another one. Um, and that also rolls into, speaking of Antarctica, a list that I made while I was in Antarctica. Something else that travel has taught me are the things that matter most in your life. When you get away, when you're traveling, when you're out of your normal environment, your perspective changes. I think, at least for me, from personal experience, it's a way to return to who I am without all the external pressures of being home. That's work, that's, responsibilities around a house, obligations I may have to other things I do, whether that's teaching a dance class or, volunteering, anything like that. And um, you you find out what matters and what doesn't, and the things that we focus on, whether that's material items or social media, gosh, so many things. They're not things that matter. The people that you're around are what matters, the experiences that you have, and those are the things that matter. So many things in our lives are they what transitory, is that even a word? Is that what I'm thinking of? They're temporary. They're not things that are gonna last. When you get to a point in your life, whether that's hopefully, you have a love life and you're on your deathbed and you look back, you're not gonna remember all the things. You're not gonna remember the material things. You're not gonna remember work and emails and all that nonsense. It's kind of crazy to say, but those are the things that don't matter. They may matter in the moment, but in the long term, they're not worth it. I'm just gonna outright say it. Yeah, we still gotta work, we gotta make money, we gotta put a roof overhead, food on the table, and have some retirement savings. But at the end of the day, work is work, and that will always be there. You can't make more time. So yeah, finding out the things that matter and the things that don't, I think that's another one. So let me think here. I think I'm at 4. Now I'm about to be 5. Uh, um, things that travel has taught me, things. I think the last thing, it may be a reminder and a reinforcement of something that I've known for years, and I think it comes with time and age and experience. And I'm a little distracted. Both of my cats are currently zooming around the house. You can't see them, but I do love them. They're one of the things I'm grateful for. That being said, but I think the last thing that I'll talk about just real quick is it's something that comes with time, and I don't know if you wanna call it faith or belief or whatever it is, but I think there's give me one section stuck. My little one. Let me get your toe. There you go. Okay. Our helper is unstuck. She was stuck in her collar. So yeah, I don't know if you want to call it faith or belief or letting go or trust, but I think there comes a time when you really have to believe in yourself, believe that you're capable, believe you set yourself up for success, and just let it go. And that's something that's very hard for me in life. It is hard for travel as well. I know at the beginning of this year, I had, I think, the better part of 7 weeks of being overseas and being on the road. And even though I gave myself a little bit of a buffer for getting from England to Antarctica, there were so many moving parts and pieces to that, that quite frankly, they had to go right. And if something went wrong, it was a very distinct possibility that I was not going to make it to Ushuaia in time, which meant I was not going to make it on the ship, which meant I was not going to make it to my 6th continent, which meant I was not going to make it to my 7 continents in 1 year on the anniversary of 20 years of international travel. And that was something that was so important to me, and it was huge. And at the end of the day, there was nothing I could do about it. I had to believe that I had done everything that I was able to do, that was within my power to do, and when I packed my bag and shut the hotel door, my room door at the hotel, and I walked away, I just had to say, it's out of my hands. I've done everything I can. I just have to believe it's gonna happen. And that extended even well beyond arriving in Ushuaia. If you haven't watched my other videos, everything went perfect. I rarely say that, but everything truly was flawless. I made it to Ushuaia, um, and got on the ship. And the last thing really that I had to wait for, knowing that it may not happen, was stepping foot on Antarctica. And for me, I really wanted it to not be on an island. I wanted it to be on the mainland portion of Antarctica. That day I waited 14, well, almost 14 days, where I waited almost the entire expedition for it, came on the last day of the expedition. And I just knew, I just, I just knew there was nothing I could do about it. And I would have to, and I guess in a way, settle, if it didn't happen. But everything went well, and it was really, really, it's really difficult to let go. And so, I think that's something that travel teaches you, is you can prepare all day, but at the end of it, when all is said and done, it's out of your hands, and you have to have that, whatever you want to call it, that faith, that belief, that trust, in yourself, or if you're religious, in your God. And I'm not personally religious, but I do, I guess I believe. I certainly, I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm capable of, and I believe that if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and it's gonna happen. And yeah, so in this case, in that story, everything went well, and it is, it's just something you learn, something that I think gets a little easier with time, but maybe not, altogether. So I will stop rambling. I'm looking over at my two little helpers. They're still kind of zooming, and I think one of them has picked up a toy. You don't know, I have two kitties. I have a Miss Cassie kitty and a Munch. She's my tabby. You see her here all the time. She's my helper. But yeah, I'm gonna go spend some time with them. And yeah, I'll catch you in 2026. Bye.